Está cinzento.
Comece no Alva.
Com o quê?
Comece no Alva com... O Alva vai começar a ler.
Mas com...
Yeah, yeah. Ei,
E está 20 pessoas a ver nada. Entrou direto, sim. 2 minutos. Para mim que as pessoas agora vão desaparecer, pá. E alguém está a comentar. O que é que diz? Olá, olá. Nem estão a ver, pá. Olá, olá. Já começou a descer. Oi, oi, oi.
Governor, good morning.
Good morning.
Governor, how would you describe the most pressing issue in your state currently?
Well, right now we're trying to balance fixing our pension and then making sure that we're able to, at the same time, get resources for transportation and resources as well to pay teachers more. So those three things are having to be dealt with simultaneously in balance.
And so what kind of shortfalls are we talking, and what's the proposal do you think that will help you achieve that balance?
Well, right now we're looking at a big flood of money that's come into the state. The state right now is having some of its strongest economy probably in 25 years. We're the number one economy in the country right now. So we have enough resources. We're going to put about 3% of the total payroll, or about $225 million a year, towards the pension, and also look at adjusting the cost of living adjustment down a little bit, and then also looking at how we can, maybe for future hires, let they work 2 years or 4 years longer, but something like that where everybody is giving a little. And we put in about $600 million of new money into the education system over the last couple years, and so we're making progress there as well. And so I think that we're trying to do all this at a time when the economy in the state can really support it.
The House Speaker is a Democrat. The Senate President is a Republican. Are Republicans on board with this strategy of yours?
Yeah, I think that both sides are willing to compromise and realize they're not going to get everything that they want. But that's the nature of government, right? We're also going to try and figure out, get enough money to address some of the real nagging transportation infrastructure issues, some of our interstates and some of our aging roads. And I think we're going to be able to make significant progress there as well. So there's something in it for everybody.
And Governor, directly a question. 748-8000, front page of USA Today.
Really, that's a drop in the bucket. It does allow us to THC and marijuana adults, right? Their parents, their clergy, some challenges with the issue, but
the resources that you had to put in, specifically a problem where teenagers are.
Well, teenagers, there hasn't been a big spike or even in teenage use.
I used to live in the state's Section 8 of apartments and houses in Citizens. And I'd like for you to speak to that a little.
Is the fact that we have that tradition. Now we have a bunch of state plans on it, from plans are underway, but playing catch up.
A resident.
I'm calling about the marijuana, that it would take care of. And there's many studies that show damage to children, unborn babies, is very destructive. And
Governor, go ahead.
Organization for nonviolent crimes, and then needing to be growing marijuana legally to package it and ship it out of.
Governor, there's a judge he highlights and posts that show that the state has involving marijuana and connecting them between the decisions.
Before, in these types of fatalities, so once it was legalized, whereas before, so I think that we didn't have a after us. One of the things I've said, a good baseline. Make sure you're measured after it's legalized.
One of the concerns,
jump, well, except for years.
One of the concerns of state an illegal drug is that
the Americans doing. He doesn't want to hear about hundreds of thousands of kids. He's more focused on just trafficking, and and the marijuana is legal. One company or another, but I don't think he's shut down.
What about President Trump?
President aligned. He seemed inclined to let more stayed out of the fray.
Colorado residents, 202-748-8 of your governor, 202-748 others. Joe is next. He's on. Good morning.
What are you going to do for business in Colorado? The government. We have a reconnect between the front. What in the world and
between rural, somewhere between 100 through the internet access, broadband to every other. We also have trying to start a small business in terms of any taxes to the state. One big challenge is, and we've worked very hard for agricultural product of our entire product. I think we create and make sure that they can't sell their water, but we are trying to
saying that their legislature advanced this bill, this being driven from laborers and farmers and the like.
Great pay, making sure that need to be done to the state, not in every part of the state, but in many parts, to be able to work on,
It was totally against. I've seen the medical taken out and see medical marijuana, and it needs.
I looked at it. It's still classified by the federal government as a heroin and opium beneficial properties, and still aren't really tested, but clearly have in terms of, we should. Some polls show it as high as 63. I think we're going to have this tension problems in schools with kids to our society. So far, though, the data that show 14% in 1,000 respondents didn't support the legalization of marijuana. We could say that.
Is your state having on other recreational marijuana?
I have talked directly to a couple dozen guns we would have done differently, and I think less mistakes in the beginning. That person who's helped, gone out when governors now. If it was up to me, I'd wait a couple years, make sure that we don't have unintended. But that being said,
thanks. Go right ahead.
Good.
So, in your system for about getting that situation rectified. Thank you. Unfortunate situation.
Weeks, and be measured in nanograms, which we have that much THC in your blood and not be considered impaired. Measuring whether there was any THC, 100, maybe 200 responders to highway. So it is different in these types of how well we're doing or how badly in terms of this. I mean, really.
As the mayor of Denver, he was the.
Well, beer, a process of fermentation. You learn a lot of things, and it's interesting having the craft beer revolution and then kind of up close and personal with the one thing about beer fermentation is they don't always the restaurant business or know exactly what it is they're imbibing. Alcohols are more traditional. Is in this particular. I think that's one.